Great, thank you.
September 25th. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sure, this thing's silenced this time. All right, let's be on the record in case number 2020 CR 209, captioned State of Kansas versus, I'm sorry, I don't have his first name written down here, Mr. Hollingshead-Reichle. Scott Hollingshead-Reichle. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
May it please the court, Your Honor, the state of Kansas appears through Assistant District Attorney Mark Brinkworth.
May it please the court, defendant and his attorney appear via Zoom.
All right, we are here set down for a plea hearing. Mr. Hollingshead, is that what you usually go by?
He's muted. Can you unmute him, Judge?
Yeah, unmute him. Unmute yourself, please.
There it is. Now
There
can
we
you hear
go.
me?
Can hear you
Okay.
now.
Yeah, I'm new to this Zoom deal, so but yeah, I
good.
normally go by Hollingshead.
Okay, all right. So we're here to take up your plea today. And to do that, I need to ask you a lot of questions.
Okay.
Now, if at any time I ask you a question, you don't understand what I'm asking you, make sure you let me know that. You and I will talk about it until we're sure we're both on the same page, okay?
Okay.
At any time, if you want to talk to Mr. Rocky in private, before answering a question, I'm going to let you do that. I've got a way here where I can send you and him to a separate room where you guys can talk to each other and we can't hear you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now to ask you these questions, I have to have you sworn in. So if you could raise your right hand, my court reporter will swear you in.
Okay.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Hollingshead, how far did you go in school?
11th grade.
You read and write okay?
Yes.
All right. As you sit here today, are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or prescription medicine that might keep you from understanding what we're doing today?
No, sir.
Feel like your mind's clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know what you're charged with?
Yes, sir.
You understand you don't have to change your plea from not guilty to guilty. If you wanted to maintain your not guilty plea, you would have a right to a trial by jury on these charges. Do you understand that?
Yes.
At that trial, Mr. Rocky would assist you throughout. He would cross-examine and confront all of the state's witnesses and testimony. He could call anybody you wanted called, and if they didn't want to come to court, he could use the subpoena power to make them come to court. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. At that trial, you would have a right to testify, but you'd also have a right not to testify. And if you decided not to testify, the state couldn't use that against you. In other words, Mr. Brinkworth couldn't get up and say, well, he must be guilty because he didn't tell you his side. You understand that?
Yes.
If we went through that whole trial, at the end of that trial, you were found guilty, you would be able to appeal that conviction to an appellate court. If you didn't have the money to do that, a lawyer would be appointed to do it for you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, if we go forward with this plea today, you're going to be giving up all of those rights that I just talked about. There's not going to be a trial to a court or a jury. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to put up here on the screen what they tell me is the plea petition in this case. Had it up a second ago. Hold on. That is not it. Give me 1 second. There it is. Found it. All right. Mr. Hollingshead, do you see that document that I just put up there?
Yes.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes, sir.
All right. That's the plea petition that you and Mr. Rocky went over, correct?
Yes.
All right, and it basically goes over all the rights that you and I just talked about. Am I correct in that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now down in this part, it talks about the plea agreement. It says that you're going to be pleading guilty to one count of the Offender Registration Act, which is a severity level 6-person felony, and that at sentencing, both parties will join in a recommendation for a dispositional departure to probation. Is that your understanding of the entire plea agreement?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rocky, that's your understanding as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Brinkworth?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Mr. Hollingshead, has anybody else promised you anything besides that to get you to plead guilty today?
No, sir.
Anybody placed any force or threats against you to make you plead guilty?
No, sir.
Okay. I see as part of this plea agreement, there's going to be a recommendation by the parties that I depart from the guidelines and grant you probation. You understand, I'm going to listen closely to everybody's recommendation and what you have to say. But at the end of the day, I'm not bound by anybody's agreement, and I can give you any sentence that the law allows. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rocky, do you have an idea what your client's criminal history is?
I believe we had talked about him being a D or maybe a C.
Okay. Now, Mr. Rocky has gone over with you there what your expected criminal history is, right? And chances are he's correct, but there's also a chance that there's something he doesn't know about that would make your criminal history worse. And it could affect your sentence, or at least the presumption of what sentence you should get, if your criminal history is worse than the parties believe. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So given that, what I have to do today is just assume for today's purposes that you have the very worst criminal history possible so that I can advise you what the maximum that anybody can get for this crime is. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. The maximum that anybody can get for this crime is 46 months in prison and a fine of $100,000. That would also carry a post-release supervision duration of 24 months. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Hollingshead, do you have any questions for either me or Mr. Rocky about anything that we went over today?
Not at this time, no.
All right. And I guess at the what I should have asked you there is I've now pulled up on this screen your signature on that document, or what looks like your signature. Did you put that there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Rocky, you signed it as well.
I did, Your Honor.
And Mr. Brinkworth.
Yes, Judge. I did.
Mr. Rocky, do you know any legal reason why your client should not plead guilty today?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Given that, Mr. Hollingshead, I'm going to ask you, as to the one charge of failure to register as an offender, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
All right. Now, I want you to listen closely. I'm going to ask Mr. Brinkworth to tell me what the facts in the case he believes are. I want you to listen closely because I have to ask you if you agree that that's what happened, okay?
Okay.
Judge,
Mr. Brinkworth.
Judge, if this matter were to proceed to trial, the state would produce evidence showing that on or between the 1st day of June 2019 and the 30th day of November 2019, the defendant, Scott Hollingshead-Reichle, was convicted of the crime of attempted aggravated criminal sodomy of the child under 14 years of age in Johnson County District Court case number 98 CR 2874, and did unlawfully fail to report in person 4 times each year to the registering law enforcement agency within this county, which is where he resides, which is Wyandotte County, Judge, and the violation has continued for more than 30 consecutive days in violation of KSA 224905B and 224903A and C1A.
Mr. Hollingshead, is that what happened in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I will find that the defendant has freely, voluntarily, and intelligently entered into this plea. He knows the nature of the charges and the consequences of the plea. There is a sufficient factual basis for finding of guilt, and I will in fact find that he is guilty of this crime. I'm going to set a sentencing order, a pre-sentence investigation, and and continue that sentencing pending the receipt of that PSI. I'm looking at September 25th at 9 o'clock. I understand the parties have already looked and they believe that that will work. Correct, Mr. Rocky?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brinkworth?
Yes, Judge.
All right, and that's all by Zoom now, unless I hear otherwise from you all. We'll do this again. Okay, I've already got the plea petition, which I will submit to probation as well as the PSI request. Here's what's going to happen, Mr. Hollingshead. I'm going to send over that document that has your contact information, and sometime in the next, I don't know, week or 2 weeks, probation's going to reach out to you to set an appointment to do an interview, okay?
Okay.
You need to get that done because we can't get the sentencing done until we have that back, okay?
Okay.
And, I do need to advise you, as a convicted felon, it's prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm, certain kind of deadly cutting instruments like dirks, daggers, switchblades. Mr. Rocky can tell you more about that. All right. And I know that this is not a registrable offense. So is there anything else that I failed to cover, Mr. Rocky?
We did waive prelim last time we were in court, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. Okay.
And I think we did.
Okay. We'll see you all on the 25th. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.